What is up, beautiful people? I got to make sure this isn't screwing me up right now because I think my headphones connected to my phone, and now I hear Brandon a bit, so we're doing good.
Nice.
Skorch the Fears, episode 120 with Brandon Duran. Great guy, great friend of mine. We should talk more. I don't talk to him enough, but absolutely crushing it in real estate, doing an amazing job. And I'm excited to have you here, Brandon. How you doing? How you been?
I'm good, man. Excited to be here as well. Appreciate you. And
I love
I'm
it.
doing well. Blessed to be alive, for sure.
Love it. Amazing. So real quick for the audience, can you just quickly describe what you do in real estate, what you've done? You'll give like a quick real estate resume. Just real quick.
Yeah. Thank you. So started off as a real estate agent back in New York City after doing digital marketing for the brokerage. And then, it led me to lease options, then led me to wholesaling. But now we wholesale. We have a TC business, and then we recently started marketing for some real estate investors in the community starting this past November. So a few things, yeah.
Love it. Amazing. So, what do you feel like is your calling card? If you had to choose any of those businesses, like what's like the main thing you do if you had to choose one?
Yeah. Man, it'd probably be solve problems as the common denominator, but it'd probably be wholesaling, right? Just wholesaling deals. I love talking to people.
Love it. All right. So this is Skorch the Fears. What we're doing here is we're helping people overcome their fears of getting into real estate, doing all of that stuff. And so tell me real quick, what were your fears when you were starting out? And how did you overcome those fears in order to get to the place where you're at today?
Man, I think my biggest fear is stepping into real estate was, not being able to sell somebody's house, like letting a seller down and not being able to get it done, but also just being able to make money. So when I jumped into real estate, I quit being an insurance agent and doing, pretty much being an insurance agent, and then just jumped in, didn't really have any savings. So just being able to survive, really. And I ended up failing. I ended up having to go back to work. And then I jumped back in. So it was funny. But I overcame by just being persistent and staying in it and listening to like Cardone constantly.
Why Cardone? What about Cardone made you feel like, what attracted you to Cardone versus anybody else? Like what made him, when what he was saying hit, where you were able to go over those fears?
Yeah, I think, so I think I listened to 10X Rule. I listened to the audio book versus, reading it, and, whoever is listening to it, it's kind of like the Can't Hurt Me audiobook. Whoever's listening to that as well, it's kind of like, hey, don't be a bitch, like step the fuck up. Who are you? You got to do what you got to do for your family. There's no time to waste. Right now is the time. Just really that energy, like you need to do more than you ever thought you could do because you didn't realize X, Y, and Z. If you want to achieve this, you got to do 10 times more, and so on and so forth. So that really pushed me, to just push through the struggle. And I think even Cardone, him being a drug addict, and just all his struggles, and not being a drug addict, right? Like me not being that, I'm like, man, if he could do it, I could do it. Right. Or do something.
I love it. So your fear was like canceling a contract. Did I get that right?
Yeah, just not being able to help sellers, right? Like, I get the listing, but then I'm not able to sell their property for them, right? Like these guys are motivated. But then also not being able to put food on the table, right? Like survive.
Gotcha. Okay. And so how'd you overcome it? What'd you do to actually overcome those fears, right? It's one thing, everyone has the fears, but then how do you overcome those fears of like, I might not make it. I might not be able to feed my family. I might not be able to do X, Y, and Z. How'd you overcome that fear?
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, I think just sticking in it, right? Just sticking through the fear, just accepting that, everybody goes through fear, but it's about taking action within the fear. And I think that makes the difference between people who are successful or not successful. Are you going to let it, hold you back, or are you just going to live within it? But some things that I actually did practical is just took massive action. So I joined a coaching program for real estate agents. It was Mike Ferry coaching. He's like the pioneer of real estate agent coaching out of Vegas. And I just hit the phones. I did everything I could do for free. Just calling expireds, calling FISBOs, calling 3-4 hours a day, door knocking for an hour, 2 hours a day. Really, learning from vets within the brokerage, and just grinding. Just listened and practiced, read scripts, chanted scripts, wrote scripts, called like everything I could to just take control.
Okay, awesome. So you basically just prepared yourself, and then let's go through your story a little bit. So you go through it. What happens? Like you're listening to Grant Cardone. When do you take your first action step?
Yeah, good questions. So again, I became a digital marketer, and then I got my license, and then I quit my job. I became an agent. I got like this crazy listing. It was like 850,000 in Brooklyn. We had a 6% commission, and I'm like, oh, this is set. We're about to make 48,000, or what was it at the time? 51,000 on 850. Split it 2 ways, so we're gonna make a good chunk. But then I lost the deal, right? And then I'm just spending money. At that time, I had a studio by myself in the Bronx, and I lost the deal, and then I was just broke, super broke. And then I had to go back to work. So I actually picked up a bartender gig and then hospitality gigs in Manhattan. So like doing like event, like large event, like cater waiter stuff, like open bar events, on 36th Street. And then it was like, listening to Cardone and listening to other books. I'm like, man, like what the fuck, what the fuck am I doing? I'm sorry. I hope I could curse in the podcast, but
It's okay. It is what it is.
All right, cool.
If you get me banned from YouTube, it was a good run. So
let me chill out. So yeah,
no,
I was just
fine.
like,
I don't think they care.
I'm just like, what am I doing? Like I know I could get this done. And then I ended up, just quitting again. I ended up trying it part-time, but it just wasn't working because I was still doing digital marketing for them. And then I just decided like, hey, I need to go all in. If I go broke, which ended up happening again, I went broke again, but I just stood in it. And I was just like, hey, this is going to work. And if it doesn't, I don't know what's going to happen. Like,
let's talk about that for a second. What do you mean by you stood in it? Because I think a lot of people, if they went broke, they'd be like, screw me. Like, I'm not doing this. This is fake. This is all a bunch of BS. I tried. It didn't work out. Right. What do you mean by you stood in it? I want you to delve into that for a second and talk a lot about that and like what that means to you and like what that meant and what you did.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah, great question. So I stood in it, meaning like I literally had no money. But I decided not to go back to work. I just decided to double down on my efforts. I had some runway, maybe like 30 days, maybe 60 days, but that was it. Like it was done. I really didn't have anything. And then I started investing in $1,000 a month coaching program with Mike Ferry for this sales coach. But yeah, I just stood in it. Like, I'm just like, hey, I don't have no money. I don't have any money. And I think I don't remember exactly the exact event that happened, but I remember I had a few deals, and my broker, they would do advances for real estate agents depending on the deals and the activity that they had. So I remember I asked my broker, and it's just crazy because no one really took me back like this. But I remember I asked for an advance, like, hey, just can I get some money just to hold me down for now? Because you see I got the deals, we got the buyer, it's going to close. And it ended up working out. So I ended up getting some more money.
How'd you keep your cool? I mean, or maybe you weren't keeping your cool, but like, I feel like that, yeah, like, I feel like that's pretty freaking stressful, right? I've been there where like, I'm like, God damn it. Like, how am I going to get through this month? But like, talk about that. Like, talk about how'd you deal with that stress? I mean, that's like one of the worst shit ever. I mean, that is the worst stuff when you are broke and you are getting broker by the month. So like, tell me, like, how'd you deal with it? How'd you deal with it emotionally?
Bro, I don't know, to be honest. Like, I think, basketball has always been my go-to to kind of relax and just escape. But Man, just seeing other people's activity, probably like just having like people around me winning. I think it helped me with, belief that like, hey, this is gonna happen. It works. And just staying optimistic, and again, just doubling down on taking action. Because when you stop taking action, that's when anxiety really starts to build up. But if you know you're doing the right things every single day to achieve the goal that you want, then you feel better, even if you're not getting the result in that moment. But when you're not doing what you're supposed to do, then that's when anxiety really starts to pick up, because you're like, shit, I'm not where I need to be, and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So I feel like, that kept me in the game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but my brokerage, they were beasts, like number one in listings, number one in sales in the Bronx. So, I had $500,000, $300,000 annual, revenue agents in the office. So seeing those guys crush it every single day, hitting the phones 8 a.m., 9 a.m. every single day for 3-4 hours a day, like that really pushed me, and I think it could push anybody.
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
So talk about how you switched from being an agent to being an investor. How did that process happen?
Yeah. So for anybody from New York, I was in the uptown area, the Bronx, that borders Yonkers and Mount Vernon, Westchester County. So that's where I was marketing 10466, most homes sold, and I called this one home uptown, and this seller wanted like $280,000, and as is properties in that area was selling for about $450. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. And I remember we stopped by the property. I'm like, yo, this is a hell of a deal. Like, this is gonna fly. So this one investor was doing agent outreach. It's crazy because I didn't realize it 2 years later, but he was constantly texting me and other agents in the office like, hey, do you have cash deals? I'm flipping an area. Well, I finally found this opportunity, and then I'm like, hey, we have this opportunity. I think this may be good for you to flip. But then I spoke to this guy named Jeffrey about the opportunity. He was another agent, but he told me about wholesaling. And I'm like, bro, I got this deal. Like, I don't know what to do. He was like, hey, don't even bring it to the office and lose 30% commission. Just wholesale it. And I'm like, wholesale it? Like, can you tell me a little more about it? I think he introduced it to me before, but I didn't really grasp it. He's like, well, you don't need to bring it to the office. And I remember I was super sketchy about it, because I'm like, damn, what if I lose my license? And, these guys gave me an opportunity. They've done so much for me. I don't want to do something weird. But he was like, no, you don't have to, you don't have to pay the office. Just wholesale it on your own. You could disclose you're a realtor and X, Y, and Z. But yeah, this guy was like, hey, I'll pay you $10,000 under the table to give me the opportunity, and I'll let you list it. And so I was a little creative on the wholesale part, but that was my first opportunity getting into it. And then that guy, Jeffrey, he introduced me to Rafael Vargas and his real program.
He's been on the podcast. He's been on the podcast before. I know him.
No shit. Yeah. So he introduced me to Rafael when he first launched the program. Before he had all the super tatted out and rock starish now. But I took his program, and Steve Morales was his acquisition manager. So I took that program, and then we started calling. Maybe like 3 months after that, I started getting into wholesaling with the guy Jeffrey, just calling for him, taking lists. That's when there wasn't a prop sheet, there was only list source. So like he was teaching me all those little things, and then we were skip tracing using TL. I forgot it, but it was like TL something. But yeah. So that, I forgot even the original question, but that's kind of how
that's how you get into investing. You answered the original question. The original question was, how did you start switching into investing? What attracted you into the investing side versus being an agent? Like, what made you want to do that? I mean, were you making money as an agent, or were you just like, but like, screw it, I'd rather do this? Or what was your thinking process?
No,
there's a lot of agents who watch this.
No, great. Yeah, I was definitely making some money. But it was faster money that really attracted me. I think, even now, I'm working on how can I be wiser with money. But at that time, I was just quick on spending, to be honest with you. So I'm like, man, I need more and more money. I need I'm trying to achieve this lifestyle. And, the opportunity to close deals, in 30 days or less, not have to pay a broker 30%, even though that was very generous in the area at the time for agents. I'm like, this is so much better. Right. And then my brokerage, they weren't teaching us how to invest. And that's something I always resented. Even though I loved them, but I'm like, man, you need to teach me how to win, because they were flipping. But I'm like, man, I want to learn this. So yeah, that's why I wanted to get into it. And
Let's talk about something real quick, if it's okay. I want to
yeah.
talk to you about the fast money, because that attracts a lot of people to real estate. The
For sure.
allure of the fast money, right?
Yeah.
I want you to talk about what you've learned and what were the pitfalls of making your real estate business about that. Because I know that's not a long-term solution. It's a very short-term thing that can motivate you, but that won't get you through the hard times. So talk about that. Talk about your transitioning of being like, you know what? There's got to be something more than just getting a fucking Bugatti, right? Like, what are we doing this for, right? What am I here for? So talk to me about that. Talk to me about that transition of that mindset shift, because I know a lot of people on here are like, Jonah, all the stuff you talk about with mindset, that's all great and all, but come on, I'm trying to get a girl with double D's and a Bugatti. That's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? But like, talk to me about like how like that eventually just you realize that that's not it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I think it shifted from just fast money to consistent money, right? And actually building a business that can sustain without you hustling. The way and everybody that probably watches the show knows that real estate can be. It's a super hustle. If you don't have systems in place, and you're disciplined, then it's just hectic. So yeah, I think it went from, okay, let me make $10,000, and then you're like, okay, $10,000 is here, but I feel like it's easier to make $10,000 now. But now it's more important about how can I make $10,000 without any title issues, avoiding certain pitfalls, and not be in it as much as I was before, right? Like making sure I'm not on every call and, just doing everything. Yeah, I think that's been the biggest transition for me.
Okay.
So just duplicating it.
So talk about that. How'd that happen? How'd you go from hustler mode to business owner, or to more, or
Yeah. Yeah, good question. So I met this girl in Jersey a few years ago, and she was crushing it. She was doing like 11 deals a month, and she was a super hustler though. She was going to the courthouse every single week, pulling data, handling her own acquisitions and dispositions. She had no VAs. She's just crushing it. She had no competition in East Jersey. And I remember at that point, she's like, hey, we could work together. But I'm like, hey, there has to be a better way to do it. So I'm like, we could hire VAs. I forgot who I was watching, but I'm like, hey, we could hire VAs. So long story short, after a few months, we end up hiring like three VAs. And then we end up jumping to 5 VAs. And then that's how I got into, I'm like, hey, we need to expand. For us to be able to grow, you need to be able to bring in some cold callers. Then let's bring in lead managers. And then I super failed. Like I did all that. Like I knew what I needed to do so we can get there, but it just failed. But that's how it started.
What do you think? Why do you think it failed? What happened?
Not understanding that there's a churn rate when it comes to hiring out of the country, right? I think what I've learned from a past partner is, you should hire at scale, possibly when it comes to when you're hiring overseas out of the country. But also my onboarding.
What does that mean to hire at scale?
Yeah. So great question. So we started a TC business last year, and through my experience over the years of hiring specifically people from the Philippines and Argentina, I realized that some people would leave within 30 to maybe 120 days. And then you put all that time into training, and then you're like, shit, now I have no VAs, not accounting for the churn of let's say 30 to 50% of your team would leave. So knowing that going into the TC business, I automatically hired 6 VAs. Hired 6 VAs last March. We started taking on clients last January, but we actually got the LLC last March. I hired 6 VAs, 4 Filipinos and 2 Argentinians. And then guess what happened? 3 ended up leaving. Right? Like I expected the churn. I lost money up front. But I'm like, hey, I know people are gonna leave, and I know the strong are gonna survive. And strong it could be harsh, but I meaning the people that I want to stay will stay. So that's what I meant. But I think I didn't expect for the churn in that first experience. My onboarding process sucked. I didn't really, I didn't define success. I didn't set a rhythm to check in with them personally and professionally. Um, I gave them a very loose
You just
script.
hired a bunch of people and said, "Make me money." Right?
Make me money, and then
Yeah.
and then I jumped off of Zoom. Right, I didn't have my org chart built out. Right, like, hey, this is the position I'm in. When this happens, you reach out to me here. But I was never there. I'm just like, go do it. Message me on WhatsApp. Like,
Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
No, I
So
totally get it. I mean, we've all gone there before, right? I mean, I have learned I don't have that big of a churn rate for VAs. I have a much bigger
yeah,
churn rate for Americans.
Americans.
Like if
Okay.
I want to hire 2 people, I hire 4, right? That happens to me a lot more with act managers.
Okay.
VAs usually they don't leave on their own, but I also pay them well, I think is also part of it. Like I'll pay $6 to $8 an hour, which I think is pretty
Oh
good for
yeah,
most people.
I
You're
wouldn't do
probably
that.
paying them like $4 an hour, right?
Three.
$3 an
I
hour.
always start off with three. Yeah.
So it just depends on like how much you're paying them for VAs. I
Yep.
deal with that more with Americans where it's like a much, much, much bigger churn rate, right? So yeah, no, I get it. I mean, like it's just a different business model and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
anywho,
Exactly.
so I love it. But so if you were to do it again or do that part of it again, would you just have not hired? What do you feel like would have needed to change where you actually like learn the things you needed to learn in order to have made it successful in the first round instead of having to screw up and do it 2 times?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think really, tuned into my vision and understand completely via KPIs on how I can hit my goal. Not just, I think it's important to take action. And I think the best businesses, start off like that, but really understand the right action to take to hit my goal. So, because then when you fail, you don't understand why you failed. And then you start investing a lot more money on different things. Like, an example for you with agent outreach, you understand success, but if you don't understand how to achieve success starting off, you would then jump into direct to seller. Where, if you actually knew how to do it, jumping in, like you spoke to, a Jonah, you may end up getting $50,000 to $100,000 a month. So
Right.
I think understanding success, what it takes to get there, and then,
You mean finding someone who's already done it, right? That's what you're talking about.
for
That's what you
sure,
mean. It's like
that as
some
well.
knowing someone who's done it.
Exactly. And then understanding what it takes day to day. And then how to lead. I mean, leadership is a forever, a skill I'm still learning today. And I think everybody, continues to learn, but I think, understanding what it means to be a leader in a business, I didn't. And I wish I did, because maybe I would have kept more people.
What does it mean to be a leader, Brandon? What does that mean?
Yeah, good question. And I think, I guess the leadership role can vary depending on the position, but overall, like John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, and there's layers to influence, and it starts off with just showing up and leading by example. So, like, an example, yeah, I hired those VAs, told them to do something, but then I wasn't on Zoom, so they were lost. They weren't being led. But my definition, on how I could have been a better leader at certain positions are, talking to them weekly and checking in with them, understanding their goal, and then backtracking how you can achieve that goal. Oh, you want to make 20,000 by August? Well, this is what you need to do. This is what you aren't doing. This is what it looks like. And then continuously, giving them feedback to hit that goal. So I think that's
Love
how
it.
I could have been a better leader, for the positions I've been referencing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Amazing. So let's talk about when should you start hiring? Like, this is a common
Well,
question I get. Like, when should you start hiring versus just solopreneuring it? Yeah, let's just start there. What do you think on
yeah,
that?
good question. I think when you when well, the first step is deciding, realizing what you don't want to do anymore, right? Or uh, you know, uh, identifying what your strength is, and then realizing, a task that maybe that takes too much time, and you can offload, but you can afford comfortably. And what I mean afford comfortably, that I think, having runway at 3 to 6 months on that position should be the strongest deciding factor on hiring somebody. So it's not like, hey, I think I should hire somebody. I have $450 because that's 160 hours for a $3 VA or a $4 VA. No, how about you multiply that by 3 or 6, because you want to make sure that you can actually afford it, and you may not see the result that they're not the magic pill. And if you hire them 1 month, it doesn't mean they're going to make you money month two. So
Right.
you have to have that runway. So those are a few things that I would consider prior to hiring somebody.
Gotcha. Okay,
Um,
cool. Love
yeah,
it. So let's go back to your journey then.
yeah.
You hire people, you lose a ton of money. You're like, God damn it, why did I do that? You go back to being a solopreneur. What's the next step? When do you start hiring again? Like, what happens? Like, talk about the emotional journey, the real journey, all of it.
Yeah. I mean, man, I feel like the journey is nuts. The journey's been nuts the last few years. I've had partners, not had partners. We've had very large organizations, and then had smaller. But just to say, on the emotional journey, it's been nuts. But I don't know. So I guess I could rant for like another hour, but to speed it up, I got into Subto. Actually, Munif joined my team. He was making calls for leads that I had. I had a ton of leads on
I didn't
Freedom. So
know that.
yeah. So yeah.
How long did
Munif,
that last for? I feel like that guy was not meant to be an employee. How long did that go for?
just a couple months, and he wasn't, because he was, I like a shout out Munif, but I remember I was getting at him like, bro, you calling my leads, dog? Like,
That's
but,
funny.
but we actually did. We did the deal together, and but he was calling my leads. He was a dope guy. He was responding to everything in Subto, and then that's when I was just like, bro, what if you call my leads and we split everything? And that was like my first experience in Subto. And then I ended up really getting into the lead manager track. I ended up getting about 5 to 7 lead managers, but be honest, I had no idea what I was doing. Part-time people, my onboarding sucked. My sales process was non-existent. I'm just like, hey, go crush it. You speak well. But then I met some other partners, and then we ended up creating something pretty well. And we ended up merging a few companies, and we ended up having like 40 virtual assistants. And that was a pretty good experience until it wasn't. And then
40 virtual assistants? Holy Jesus, dude. What the hell? That's
yeah.
that's crazy. What were they all doing?
Yeah, so it was across a few verticals. We had a call center.
Oh, gotcha.
We had a skip
Was it a
tracing
VA
company.
company?
No, so it wasn't. No, we ended up creating that at some point.
Okay.
But no, it was just a call center where we were generating leads for other people. So we created a business model in 2022 where we generated leads for people, but then also we offered the opportunity to do all their acquisitions. So we handled the top and mid parts of the funnel. And then you can work with us to dispo the deals, or we'll dispo the deal. And we were taking anywhere from 50 to 70%. So we were doing that for a little while. We had a call center, we had a skip tracing company, and then we had acquisitions. So I don't know if you remember, at one time we had a huge team. We had 20 acquisition managers in Subto.
Oh,
I
Jesus
think it was the
Christ.
largest team at the time, and that was back in 2022. But that was another situation where I feel like I could have been a better leader. Onboarding was better. It got better. Pace ended up hiring a company for us, Process Mavens, to build out our onboarding and our training. And things got better, but we still lacked on certain things, right? Just that leadership side. and then understanding KPIs. But we ended up buying and selling 16 properties. And the partnership ended up ending because of various variety of things.
Way too many visionaries. I can already tell. Who are your partners?
3 visionaries. Yeah, it was Shad and Bilal.
Yeah, great guys. But yeah, definitely a lot of visionary there.
Yeah, a lot of visionary there. It was a lot of emotions. And yeah, so that ended up happening. We ended up making a good amount of money. Well, we learned a lot. And then yeah, everybody ended up doing their own thing. Actually ended up being me and Shad doing our thing for a little bit, and then we ended up going separate ways. And then yeah, I was wholesaling by myself, and then we created a TC company with the in-house TC that we had. And today we have about 12. I have about 12 employees, 1 American, 11 VAs.
Nice.
Yep.
So talk about your structure real quick. Like, what is
Yeah.
everyone doing? What is it? You're doing a bunch of different things. So like, talk about what your team looks like. What's everyone doing all day? All that good stuff.
Yeah, great question. So I'll just start off with marketing. I have my girlfriend running our marketing team. We created the team just to handle in-house accounts, so we can be able to organically bring in JV opportunities as well as TC opportunities. But we have 4 employees on that side, focusing on social media management, video editing, graphic design, and then managing Facebook groups. And then we strategically partnered with Jamey and Janessa Marcos. We created Reach Media. So we're doing like marketing for like April Giuliano, Andrew McGuire. We're about to do Darren Prasad. We got
You own that company with them? I didn't know that. They're really cool. I met Jenny. I met both of them. I knew them, but I met them in real life, especially also in Jacksonville. I did I had a mastermind in Jacksonville, and I said they were there at the meetup after that. They're cool people.
Yeah.
I didn't know you owned the business with them. That's awesome.
Yeah. So they're amazing.
Keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. But it's planned like that, right? Because really, the big visionary in the company is Jamey. He's just a master at being creative in that world, and that's why we decided to work with them. Because we had the in-house marketing team, but then they were doing their own thing, and we ended up going to Fiji. Actually, I don't mean to take the story a different direction, but we ended up actually hanging out in Fiji last fall with Duran, and then we were just in the pool one day, and I'm like, bro, I got this, you got this. What if we did this? And then but he's the visionary in that business, and me not really being out there is the point, is important.
What are you in all of these businesses? Are you always the visionary? Are you doing other things? Like, how do you decide who you're going to partner up with and whether it's going to make a good partnership? Because I think bad partnerships can kill things. I recently broke up with one of my partners, right? Like 3 months ago, and it's a B word. It stunts growth and makes you have to restart an engine, right? So talk about what makes a good partnership. When's it worth it? And how do you choose your partners?
Man, I think, Jonah, I got to tell you, I'm still figuring that out. I've had really bad partnerships.
Fair.
I think what's going good in the partnership with Jamey is me. I decided in this partnership, because I decided a few months ago to not step into any of the partnership. But what this is kind of a test for me, because and I told Jamey this, like, hey, I need to step back as a visionary and see how someone else operates, and accept like more of a back end behind the scene role, provide value, but I don't want to make that final decision. Because maybe I'm the problem, right? Like, I don't think I am, but maybe I'm a problem somewhere. And but how do you make those decisions, bro? It's so tough, because I had one partnership recently where I thought it was like perfect partnership, and it wasn't. I think I get like emotionally involved, honestly. Like, I'm like, yo, you're family. But then realizing like, yo, you're not family, bro.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be.
You do not see it that way, like, you do not see it that way. So
I want to commend you for something real quick. Is like, it is so hard for most people to be willing to be like, maybe it's me. Maybe I am the problem with whatever the freak is going on in my life. And either way, for everyone who is watching, if you treat your life like you are the problem, then your life gets better. only if you're the problem can you then do the action steps where you can fix it, right? If you take responsibility for your life, even if you aren't the problem, then you are the problem because you haven't told the other person that they're the problem and things need to change, right? It's one or the other. If you are in the end the problem, if someone else is quote unquote the problem, then you're not doing your part about telling them they're the problem or trying to solve the problem, right? So I want the audience to understand that, like, if you treat life like everything is your fault in the end and there's something you can do to change it, then there is something you can do to change it and your life gets better. So
Yeah,
I'll throw that little piece of wisdom out for all of us real quick.
I appreciate that, man.
But it's really good that you're like, maybe I'm the problem, right? It's a good
Yeah.
thing to think, right? You ever read Extreme Ownership by Jocko
No,
Willink?
it sat in my Amazon cart for at least a year.
That's a really good one. That's the best leadership book I've ever read.
Nice.
It's my definition of a leader. Is basically it's the last person to eat at the table and is the person who's you work for your employees is my golden motto, right? If you get that down, then it becomes a completely different game.
Yep. I agree with
But
that.
uh, but yeah, no. So you took a step back, kind of like not necessarily being the visionary CEOs, just so you could watch someone else do it and learn and maybe see where you have been going, potentially were going wrong. Is that the kind of the idea?
Yeah, exactly. And I've had experience. One of the partnerships in the past, like that partnership, the trio. There was like a power struggle on who's the visionary at one point, and I'm like, bro, it's not that serious. Like I think I've realized that it's just like, hey, what are we trying to accomplish? You want to be that? Let's do it. Let's just all get it done. Put the ego to the side, because maybe we don't want to live in this business for the next 50 years. There's an exit. Let's just push towards that. So yeah. And then you were asking me, like, just where does everybody else sit? So like, Jamey and Janessa, they lead that, creative directors, videographers, crushing it. My girlfriend leads the team. And then on the TC side, we just have 3 full-time TCs. They're all Filipinos though, but they're fucking awesome. Choose me YouTube. And then on wholesale, so I have a lead manager, I have an acquisition manager. I have like a dispo assistant, kind of, right? Like, he's posting on Investor Lift, he's posting deals on Facebook, and this new platform, this new creative dispo platform that dropped is called Subto.io. Shout out my guy, Eduardo. Send me an affiliate if people sign up on that one. It's a killer platform. And we have operations manager. She's doing like just payroll. She's working like all HR, tracking attendance, and then we have somebody like just texting on the platform, and working all systems, the CRMs.
Where are you going with all these companies? Because we got a lot of companies, we got a lot of irons in the fire, right? It seems aggressive to me, right? Like, normally in my head, I'm like, just do one fucking company and make a fuck ton of money from it, right? Why are we doing so many things? Is it shiny object syndrome? Why are we doing so many different things in order to make money? What do we think about my constructive criticism a little bit?
Bro, I take it because I've given myself the criticism, and we've come to the realization that I was doing way too much. I think it was everything that you said. I think it was shiny object syndrome. I think it was overconfidence, where you're like, yo, I can do everything, right? And it's funny because I'm at that point where I'm like, holy shit, I can't do everything.
Yep.
So, but you asked me like, hey, what's the point of doing this, and what am I trying to accomplish? So, I've never, like, I don't think I ever said this on social media, but I'm trying to create like a very strong ecosystem internally that can provide deals, and I can buy them or wholesale them. So just and be able to do everything that I don't want to do. Like, I want to do marketing, but I don't want to do it. I really want people to, I want a strong system there. And then I don't love paperwork, but I understand it. And that's the TC side. And I know there's money there. There's fast money. So this is loaded, but so out of that partnership in Chicago, there's 6 properties we're still selling. We're losing actually a ton of money, Jonah. Like, we owe.
Are they wraps?
No. So hard money loans, they're due. We have private debt on them.
What were they, flips? What were they?
They were flips and burrs. Flips and burrs. Right. So I'm in a situation right now where actually one of my partners in the trio, is actually not trying to pay, like contribute towards the private debt. And we're just in, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm in a situation where the last year I've had to decide to like up activity, like everything that I did. So that's why I've decided to take massive action on creating this, creating that. So we can make so much money that the losses, it's not because I'm taking additional debt, which I've done. Because of the situation in Chicago, I've had to take out additional debt to be able to pay debt. But now at the same time, trying to increase revenue so I can handle the debt. And it's like, okay, I'm not just
They're
digging.
just not sellable. It's like impossible to sell them.
No, I'm selling them. They're all on the market right now, besides 2 actually.
What would be the loss to just sell them?
Bro, we're losing a couple 100,000. Yeah, like
I haven't been in that situation specifically, but I own a Subto right now that I completely screwed up the numbers. Ended up having to long-term rent it, and I lose like $1,000 a month, right? Which is annoying. But like once I learned that, I'm like, all right, I am being the most conservative motherfucker ever. I'm not taking any goddamn chances because debt is real. Debt can be so shitty. It makes everything have to go to that instead of like just growing shit.
Bro, it's tough, bro, because like we're making decent money right now. Like last month we had a 50K month, but I'm telling you, like it's because of everything we have to handle, you know? It's super tough. We closed on a deal on May 24th, but because of private debt, I think we're losing like 80K on that deal, bro. 80K in a couple weeks. And then we're just having tough conversations with lenders, right? Like they believe in you, they want to invest. And then, you know, I'm not letting them down, but it's tough accomplishing that, right? So to answer your question, that's why I've taken massive action on it. Just doing all these things.
So how do you keep your head above ground when you're dealing with debt like that, right? Because I mean, I get it, dude. Like debt is the scariest thing to me ever. Like that, this is like a completely different scale. It's annoying to me, but like this rental is just, I've lost probably $50,000 on it, just like paying the mortgage, paying for bullshit repairs, all of that stuff, right? How do you keep your head afloat when like there's just so much goddamn debt to deal with?
Bro, to be honest, it's tough, man. Every day is like, it's tough, but I just staying grateful, to be honest, you know, staying grateful, talking to people about it, you know, like before I was really bottling everything in, but luckily, like some of my lenders are super cool. I just gave a house to a lender, actually. 2 lenders in the community we just gave a house to. And I just have conversations with them about it. You know, like just today I spoke to one of our lenders, Courtney Banks, super cool out of the Bay. I just talked to him about you. He said he knows you.
I do know him. He's a cool guy.
Yep. Good guy, but he's cool. You know, he understands. So like having fluid conversations with them, having a few conversations with other people, like, hey, this is what you got to do. You just got to stay above ground. Just keep taking massive action and communicate. That's the only thing, really. So,
makes sense. Thank you for being vulnerable on here, my man. Like, I think it helps a lot of people to understand, like, this game isn't always pretty.
For sure.
BS can happen, right? Like, you see a deal, you think it's good, and then boom, you lose like $100,000 on a deal before, right? I've lost $50,000 on this rental so far. I'm probably going to keep losing money. I've decided to just rethink of it because this person in the seller Subto has like a grandson who's dealing with cancer. I'm like, you know what? This is my charity. This house is my charity. Paying this mortgage is my charity, right? So when I think of it like that, I feel way less bad about it because you got somebody out of that situation, right? But yeah, man, I get it. I'm gonna throw something out there. We'll see which ones. I would say, depending on how much time you spend on each business. If you said 50K last month, which business was that? Was that all of them, or was that one?
Yeah, so we're averaging 10K in the TC business a month, with 3,200 right now currently from marketing, because we just got started in November. We just picked up 2 clients this week, but 3,200 just to our side, and then the rest was wholesaling.
So that's 35K in wholesaling.
Yep.
I feel like, depending on how much time does the TC and the marketing take up?
So the marketing is completely out of my hands because my
Okay, that's
girlfriend
good.
runs that team.
Okay.
She's leading that team all day, every day on them with
Okay.
Zoom.
What about the other one?
It can take some time with like solving some problems. You know, like there's definitely some fires we got to put out. We're working a self-perform right now. It takes some time. But you know, they are pretty competent. Um,
How much is
yeah,
in the wholesaling business? How much of your time is in wholesaling versus any of the other ones?
yeah. Wholesaling is a good amount of time.
Okay, good. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I feel like you should just like the more eggs you put into the main basket that's making you a freak ton of money, the better, right? Um, I'm gonna buy some rentals, but they got to be really good rentals for me to buy them now. Like I'm cool not owning that much real estate right now, bro. Like I'd rather be rich than wealthy at the moment. Like in
Yep.
the
Yep.
end, 100, if I can get like for me, I'll let you know. Like you were vulnerable with me, I'll be vulnerable with you. Like last quarter, we're doing like 100 grand a month just wholesaling. Then I split up with my partner. Now I'm at about like 20 to 30 grand a month, which blows. But if I can get to 100 grand a month and then I own everything again, which I believe I can do,
Yeah, you can.
then that's way more worth it than owning some rentals that'll eventually pay me, right? Um, I'll own rentals just from here and there just because, but like the wholesaling is just better right now, right? Put myself as an act manager again. I'm getting like a deal a week, which is good.
Nice.
But I did that so that I could, because I have to restart the salespeople, the whole sales process. I'm like, all right, I am going to make it where I'm going to hire 3 to 4 salespeople. They're going to be only commission based, right? So I can hire that many. And then I'm going to fire the people who aren't closing deals after like a month and a half. Be like, hey, it was fun. You didn't close any deals. Sorry. Sucks to suck. And then just keep going until I have like 3 solid killers who are each bringing in a deal a week. And I'll bring in a deal a week. And then that's about, 16 deals a month. Average, let's say 10 to 15K. So that's about what, 160K a month? We should be able to do that. And
Oh yeah.
I know how to do that. I just need a dispo that's good. And right now my dispo's pretty good. I don't think he's getting overwhelmed. I don't think he'll get overwhelmed, but we'll see. And just deal with the process there. So I just have
That's
been doing this game for so long. That's like my plan, right? Because if you have a business that's generating 100, 160K in revenue every single month, like bro, at that point, like life just becomes easier, right? That's just way, way, way easier. So
yeah.
I like talking about the struggle. I like it.
It's real, man. This thing is not
It
easy.
is real. It is real. That's why you guys have to be careful with debt. Everyone who's watching, like it's
Oh
not
yeah.
an easy road. Be very careful with it. It's not as pretty and sunshines always.
And I've taken a lot of risk too. You know, like you got to be. You know, I think there's you have to take risk in business, but you got to be careful with that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So, let's talk about the next steps. How are you going to grow? How are you going to grow these businesses? Where do you see the
Yeah.
future for all of these businesses?
Yeah. Good question. So when it comes to marketing, you know, I guess I don't want to say too much without getting their permission, but we're just focusing on offsetting the editing part from Janessa and Jamey to the VAs. So really excited about that. It'll free up some more time so we can focus on the branding side of the business and bring on more clients. Our goal is to be able to. We have 6 clients now. We're trying to get to 15. That'll take us to about $23,000 a month, something like that. And then the focus would be doubling the revenue. So we're really excited about that. And then on the TC, it's I lost the team lead, so I'm looking to train a new team lead by July 1st. So I don't have to be in the day to day. I can just check in maybe once a day, and make sure that the team is doing good. That'll be really great. And then we're trying to take that to. We're going to focus on LinkedIn marketing. So we're really hoping to double, if not triple, our revenue there. The thing about us is that we're really cheap compared to other TCs. Like I just overpaid ridiculously for a PML fee on one TC company, and I'm not trying to shit on them, but we charge like a quarter. So just trying to increase our fees, and then just save time. And then the wholesale side, I want to turn my acquisition manager into a sales manager, and then increase our follow up. So like introduce some of the follow up like you have or. Because I stepped into agent outreach. I didn't mention that, Jonah. So I was losing too much.
Why? Why are we doing that? Oh, because we wanted to save on money. I feel it. That's actually a good
Yeah,
that's a good enough
yeah.
reason.
Save money, and I'm losing money with this debt that I told you about. So I've had to just shift. So I've stepped into agent outreach, but being that I'm stepping into it, I don't understand it the way I understand direct to seller, meaning like the follow ups and how do I just be able to generate more deals with each agent. So I'm still working on that. So we want to work on being able to like really nurture good relationships to get repeat business, and then bring that acquisition manager, the sales manager.
What's your
Hopefully.
market again? Where's your market?
So be honest with you, bro, I've been shooting offers out to fucking everywhere. So
you are way too much. Like, I'm gonna throw it out there. Way too much like shiny object syndrome. What do you mean you're in every single market? You need to choose a market.
No, so not every market. So I moved to Scottsdale, Arizona. So like today we just got 2 accepted offers in Arizona, and that's where I really want to focus. But I was playing around with Myron Briley's tool, the market takeover shit. So that's a sick tool, and because I was just like, yo, we need to send out a ton of offers, but there's only so many listings in Arizona. So because of that, and because of me getting excited by the tool, I'm like, yo, let me send offers to Louisiana, let me send offers to North Carolina, let me send offers here, and just start to see how does it work. And that's what I've fallen into. So like we close on a deal in San Luis, Arizona today. We close on a deal in Oakland, California tomorrow. We close on a deal in Atlanta.
That's my market, bro. What do you mean? You didn't send me one in Oakland? Come on, my man. That's literally my market.
So
you
the
got to
guy
send
who
me
bought
California and Colorado.
Damn. Well, the guy who bought it,
For
Joel
next month.
Valencia, maybe you know him.
I don't.
Yeah, so he's in Oakland. Joel Valencia, though, he's in Subto, and he bought the deal. But yeah, so like we just been playing around with this tool, trying to figure out agent outreach. But I want to centralize in Arizona, though.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You have too many irons in the fire. If you
I got a
focus
lot of
more, you'll
irons,
make
bro.
more. If you focus more, you'll make more money. That's my advice for you. I think you have way too much going on. Where if you focus, you'd be making way more money. I think you have. So you're just getting like, ooh, that sounds cool. Let's do that, and it's just too much, bro. That's what I think. That's what I think would make all the difference in your business right now, in your life. To be honest, throw it out there.
But at the same time, I'm already here. So I'm with you on that thought. At this moment, like I said, I'm at the moment like, damn, I got so much going on, but I can't just drop it. So I'm like, what do I do to solve and make it work?
I think I would drop the TC business. I drop the TC business and I choose one market to just absolutely go into. The marketing one, I keep it since you're saying you're barely spending any time on it. The TC, bro, 10K a month. That's one deal in a wholesale deal. If you're spending, let's say, 20 hours on the TC business, you spending 20 hours on the wholesaling business will generate, I think, more than 10K a month. I'm willing to bet $1 million, right? I drop the TC business. I focus in on one market. I'd be like, we're just fucking doing Arizona if I want to do Arizona, right? And I go in and I just have a feeling you'll instantly make more money. I'm going to throw it out there. You can take it or leave it, right?
That. No, I appreciate
I'm going to throw it out there either way. We're getting to the end of the podcast. So this is where I take in questions from the audience. Anybody, any of the people on here, we got 5 people on here. If anybody has any questions for Brandon or me, take it in. I'll look out for your guys' questions in the comments. While we're waiting for those, I'm going to ask my last question, which is, if you were to go back to Brandon right when he started in real estate investing, what would you say to him then, knowing everything that you know now?
What would I say?
Yeah, what would you say to your past self right when you started in real estate investing, knowing everything you know now?
Be conservative. Don't jump into so many things. And make better decisions when it comes to money. Like I said, we have a lot of debt at the moment, and I'm working on paying all my private lenders back. It's tough. So I would make better decisions on the properties that I'm investing in, so I can be able to be super conservative. And yeah, I think that would be huge. So
Gotcha. Good thing to know. I love it. All right. I don't think we have any questions. So Brandon, do you have any last words for people? Where can they reach out to you? What do you want them to reach out to you for? Talk about everything.
Man, just crush it. I hope that the podcast taught, I hope it felt authentic to people, and let you guys know, the tougher sides of real estate and entrepreneurship, and man, just focus. And it's possible. If you stay persistent, you could get it done in real estate. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
And keep showing up to Jonah's podcast. This was great. Again, I never really talked about a lot of this. I've never talked about any of this live or in front of a lot of people. So
I was appreciating you talking about it, my man. I know you didn't have to do that, and I really appreciate you doing it because you'll help a lot of people, right? We have 7 people live. Usually about 100 people see every single podcast after
Nice.
it's like posted and all of that. So you'll help a lot of people, my man. I promise you, right? Like it will happen. Mac, I'll answer your question later because that's like going to take off from the seriousness of what we're talking about, which I like. But yes, like thank you for that. I want to say I appreciate that a lot because everyone talks about the goddamn good sides, but nobody talks about the bad sides. Everyone who talks to me about how good they're doing, I'm like, yeah, tell me about something. Tell me about the bad. Because if you're in business, it's never all going well. I call BS. There's always things that are going off at any point. Things can be overall really good, but then also there's still problems and things happening, right? So, anywho, that's what I would say. Heyman, I'll say this: it's an amazing. NorCal is the best flipping and wholesaling market in the entire country, in my opinion. That and Colorado are my 2 favorites. Mac, I'll answer your question real quick. How do you find buyers for on-market deals? The exact same way you find them for off-market deals, my man. Tax records, Facebook, it's the same bull BS. Anyone who says they don't buy on-market, send them a good deal and they'll change their tune. That's how I feel about it. But don't know if you have anything for either of those, Brendan. But
No, I think you got it.
Yeah. Any last words? Where can people reach out to you? At the Duran. What's your full Instagram again?
Instagram is at the Duran brand, Brandon Duran. At
the Duran brand.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Any last words? Anything we want people to know? Anything you want to plug?
Yo, if you need any help with deals, acquisitions, or even TC. Even TC, even don't worry about what Jonah said. I wanted to drop it. If you guys need some help, let me know. Reach out to me, and we can do some business. But if you need any help with creative deals or just acquisitions, please let me know.
And just reach out on Instagram though. Like they should just message you on Instagram.
Yeah, just message me on Instagram. Yep.
All right, cool, cool. Any last words, my man? Before I start wrapping this up. Awesome,
good,
bro.
Appreciate you, Jonah.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. Next week. We're keeping it at 6 p.m. MST. If people can't make it on the podcast, they can screw off. I'm keeping it the same time. So put it in your calendars. 6 p.m. MST from now on. That's when we're keeping on the podcast. Thank you so much, Brandon. I appreciate you. This is Skorch the Fears, episode 120. Let's freaking go.